There's an ongoing investigation involving the memos. Why should they be given to Congress? Well, yesterday they said, fine, we'll hand them over to Congress. Okay, and then within 5 minutes of them being handed over to Congress, the Associated Press had them, the Washington Post had them, everybody in the press had them. Why do these memos matter? Why do these memos matter? Well, there are a few reasons these memos matter. So on the left, they're suggesting these memos matter because James Comey now looks more consistent. It looks like he's been consistent in his story throughout. Okay, fair enough. But there's some problems for James Comey in the memos. Okay, first problem for James Comey in the memos. First of all, the memos themselves have some redactions. That means that some of the material in the memos is still classified. Well, that raises a question. Was James Comey leaking classified material from his memos to the press? If so, that's actually a crime. Now, Comey says he only leaked one memo to his friend, and that memo was unclassified, but we're going to have to figure this thing out because the fact is that according to the letter from the DOJ to Congress releasing these memos, quote, pursuant to your request, we are providing the requested memoranda in both redacted and unredacted formats for your convenience. The unredacted documents are classified, and we will provide those in a separate secure transmittal to the House Security Office tomorrow, which seems to imply that Comey's memos were not all unclassified. Okay, also, this seems to suggest that the DOJ fibbed about the importance of the memos in the first place. As I mentioned, the DOJ refused to turn over the memos when requested under the Freedom of Information Act last year. They claimed that the release of the memos would somehow impede the Mueller investigation. Nothing in the memo seems to suggest this is true. The memos also do not suggest obstruction, so this is a point in favor of President Trump. After the release of the memos, Representatives Devin Nunes, Bob Goodlatte, Trey Gowdy, they tore into Comey. They said, quote, the memos show that the president made clear he wanted allegations of collusion, coordination, and conspiracy between his campaign and Russia fully investigated. Furthermore, the memos demonstrate that Trump didn't want Russian election interference investigation ended, but the suggestion that he had engaged in lewd personal conduct, he wanted it investigated. So he was much more concerned with the allegations about the P-tape than he was concerned about the idea that Russia interfered in the election. He wasn't seeking to shut anything down or direct the investigation in any particular direction except on the P-tape, according to the Comey memos. As the congressmen point out, the memos also show former Director Comey never wrote that he felt obstructed or threatened, which is, of course, true. He didn't feel obstructed or threatened until he was fired, at which point it became sour grapes. Maybe I was fired because of obstruction, as opposed to I was fired because I'm wildly incompetent at my job. It is also true that these memos show that James Comey held the Trump administration and President Trump to a different standard than he held members of the Obama administration. So Comey has stated he interfered in the Hillary Clinton email investigation in an unprecedented way, right? He went out there, he did his big press conference where he announced basically why Hillary Clinton should be indicted and then said she shouldn't be indicted. He did that in an attempt to shield Loretta Lynch, the Attorney General, from allegations of bias or corruption. Well, he never wrote contemporaneous memos about his meetings with Loretta Lynch or Barack Obama during that time, even though he was so worried about it that he interfered in the middle of an investigation in a way that is wildly unprecedented. He only reserved those memos for Trump. And this is what the congressmen point out. They say, quote, he chose not to memorialize conversations with President Obama, Attorney General Lynch, Secretary Clinton, Andrew McCabe, or others, but he immediately began to memorialize conversations with President Trump. These memos also lay bare the notion that former Director Comey is not motivated by animus. Comey also never bothered to try to launch a special counsel investigation against Lynch and Clinton through leaks. Also worth noting in these memos, Comey defended McCabe repeatedly and personally to President Trump. It now turns out that McCabe was in fact lying repeatedly and now is under criminal investigation. That came out yesterday that Andrew McCabe has been now referred by the IG for criminal investigation on the basis of leaking to the press a bunch of stories about his involvement in the Hillary Clinton Foundation scandal and his attempts to investigate it.